Okay, Roma, how many times I gotta tell you you're not welcome in my backyard? Which one of you invited your buddy over? I don't care what you have. Nope, sorry, you're going back, bud. You're store-bought. I told you you're not welcome here. You're from the store, that's where you belong. Now you get! Guys, we're back. So the first tomato video I made, I didn't really go into detail about, staking, disease control, things like that, fertilizing. I wanted to keep it simple for those that have only done this maybe for the first or second time, if this is your first or second year, I didn't want to overwhelm you. So here's kind of a follow-up video on the last video we did called Growing Tomatoes. This one is going to talk about fertilizing. It's going to talk about disease control. It's going to talk about staking. Why is this important? Well, for a multitude of reasons. I know I said that, it's really important. I live in the city, guys. Sorry, you're going to hear planes. You're going to hear people weed eating. You might hear someone beating their wife. I don't know what you're going to hear over here. It's crazy. So, the first thing we're going to talk about, I think it's something that has always kept me out of trouble when it comes to disease control. Now, the first thing you need to know, so you'll understand what I'm talking about, is there is a difference in dirt and there's a difference in soil. And what separates the two is the fact that soil is literally alive. It is soil because it has fungi and it has bacteria. It's a living soil. The difference in sand and dirt and soil is that. So because it has fungus and it has bacteria, just because your plants have roots down in that doesn't mean that it's protected. So what I mean is, and I'll bring you in here slow in a minute, like really close, and show you, but the reason I was talking about pruning the suckers off on the last video is because pruning is really important, and it's equally important when it comes to the bottom of the plant. Why? Is because when you water overhead, like above the plant, like with your water hose or sprayer or whatever it may be, which I do not recommend, and you're about to find out why, or when it rains, what happens is the water hits the soil under the plant and it splashes up fungus called blight onto the leaves of the lower stems, lateral stems. And that will kill your plant. So not only do I recommend to pull off the suckers, but I recommend that up to the first set of fruit off the main stem, cut off everything. It might be a foot off the ground. You'll have nothing but a main stem. That is completely okay. It might seem like you're going overboard, and you're not, I promise you. You're not gonna hurt your plant. This is healthy for your plant for a multitude of reasons besides just blight. You need airflow. If you let your plant go, let the suckers go, and you don't prune up to your first set of tomatoes, then you're not gonna have any airflow down there, and that's just gonna add to your fungus problem. So yeah, you definitely need to do that, and I'll bring you in a few minutes and show you what I'm talking about. So you've got to trim everything, not just the suckers, everything off up to your first set of flowers or tomatoes, whichever one you have at the time. Now, don't be discouraged if you're like, well, I'm cutting part of my plant off, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose some production. No, you're really not, because you can plant. If you cut that all off and you single stem and you pull the suckers off the way I do, you can plant closer together. You don't have to go by what is on the back of your seed packet. Matter of fact, I recommend that you don't. It's really outdated, well over 50 years old. I usually do about 50% of whatever it says on the packet. So if it says to go 24 inches, I do 12. I'll do a foot. Some of these tomato plants, yeah, they're about, 10, 12 inches apart. So I can get double the amount of plants in a small space, which is really important if you're doing a backyard garden. You got to utilize your space. So back to what I was talking about, blight. Obviously it comes from the soil, it comes from water bouncing up. You can protect it a couple ways. I recommend you doing both. Put a mulch down. I don't care if you're using regular mulch like, you know, wood chips, or if you're using straw like I do. It's really cheap and compact and it goes a long way. It protects you from when the rain comes and it splashes down and bounces up on the leaves and you don't get blight. Because I'm telling you, it will destroy an entire plant. And if you trim off blight with a pair of scissors, an affected leaf after it's been colonized by fungus, and then go trim off another plant, you could literally spread it like the cold, like you sneeze in someone's face. It's really no different. So that's really important. So again, like I said, I'll bring you in at the end of the video and kind of show you what I'm talking about, because I got to do it to some of mine. I know I say I single stem, but I've let some of these go. And when I said don't freak out because you're cutting some of your tomato plant off, it's because, remember the little hairs I told you about in the last video? Those suckers that you pull off, if they're tall, plant them. They'll become new plants. That's what they're doing anyway on your plant right now. So pull your suckers off, trim up the leaves that you're going to put in the ground, plant it in the ground, and you have a new tomato. You don't have to worry about going back to the store, and just put it closer together. I mean, I'm telling you, it works. Fertilizing. Tomatoes are very, very, very hungry plants. You really got to stay on. Mine personally, I use all organic, like bone meal, blood meal. And when it comes to organic fertilizers, you hear people talking about how you can burn your plants with too much nitrogen. You can if you're using a chemical or like a granular chemical nitrogen source, but you're not going to do it if you're using something like blood meal, bone meal, fish emulsion, things like that are all organic. You cannot use a natural organic source of nitrogen and hurt your plants. Too much is never going to hurt you when it comes to organic only. So you've got to every couple weeks come out and just you know, top dress around your plant. Just sprinkle, get yourself a handful of bone meal, blood meal, and sprinkle it on top of your plant. It'll really help your plant fight off disease, which kind of goes back to the last problem we talked about. Fertilizing is something that is a topic that you'll hear people talk about, that they get kind of worked up over in the gardening community. Everyone has their own way, and I'm not here to tell you that my way is the only way, because I don't believe that. I'm always learning. There's always other ways to do anything, and if you have a way that something that you use besides bone meal, blood meal, and fish emulsion, if there's something that you use that you think I should try, let me know in the comments. I'm not here to tell you that this is the only way. It's just tried and true for me, and for a lot of people. Let's talk about staking real quick. So after you've pulled your suckers off, after you've trimmed up off the ground up to your first set of fruit, all the branches, the lateral branches on your tomato plant, to avoid disease like blight and to get airflow into your plant. Now you got to worry about how you're going to hold your plant up, because if you're not holding your plant up, I guess all that kind of goes out the window, because now your plant's going to fall on the ground, which is what tomatoes really want to do. They just want to branch out and lay over the ground, and you'll see them doing that. Me, I know that I'm only using my phone right now. I haven't really upgraded anything right now to shoot my videos with, but I use two 8-foot furring strips on either side of my bed here, and I just ran nylon line. It's important that you use nylon, because not only is it strong, but it's really soft. It's not very abrasive. It's not going to destroy your tomato plant. If you use, like, I've seen people use or tell me that they're going to use fishing line. No, don't do that. The wind's going to move back and forth. Your fishing line's going to saw your plant damn near in half. That's a bad idea. Use nylon. It's not expensive. It's cheap. You can get it anywhere. Walmart, Lowe's, whatever, Home Depot. And you can get 100 foot of it for a couple bucks. So get you a stake. I don't care if your tomato plant's already as tall as mine. Mine are 2 foot tall, maybe. You can still stake on the outside of your plant. Go, a good 6 inches away. Drive your stake down. And by stake, I mean like an 8 foot tall strip. I say 8 foot because I talked about getting intermediate plants that just keep growing throughout the season, and they will get tall if you take care of them. And then as it grows up, just get the main stem and tie a piece of nylon, not too tight to where it has some movement, but to that strip and kind of lead it up. It keeps it off the ground. So I'm sure there's more we could talk about. I could go on and on for 2 hours about tomatoes. That was the first thing I learned how to grow, and I really enjoy it. There's nothing better than a homegrown tomato. I'm just telling you right now. I'll put up my tomatoes up against any store-bought tomato any day of the week, and I can guarantee you mine will taste better. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I really want to talk with some of you guys and see what's working for you when it comes to fertilizing, especially staking methods. There's something I tried this year called the Florida weave. I didn't like it. I was kind of shocked. A lot of people are using it. I can talk about that in a future video, but I don't really like it. I don't think that even with nylon string that it really works that well. I think when you get a lot of tomatoes, it tends to fall over. I like this just regular staking method. This year, I used my 2 furring strips, which really aren't furring strips, to be honest with you. They're like rounded off 2-inch, 8-foot tall pieces of what it looks like pine that I put, and then I put nylon string above all the way at the top, and then I just led a nylon string down to the top of each plant to the main stem to hold them straight up. There's so much to do. There's so many different ways to do things when it comes to gardening, and that's what I think makes it fun. My way is not the only way. Maybe you can use some of the things that I tell you to do this year, and then kind of be creative and do it yourself. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it so cool, because my garden is not going to look like my neighbor's garden. I'm going to do things a little different, and I think it's kind of fun to talk about the different ways that we do things. That's really what this channel's about anyway. All right, guys, so this is what I'm talking about right here. When I talk about keeping fungus off your tomato plants, this is what I'm talking about right here. So you see how, even though these are probably, I don't know, this is probably 10 inches, 12 inches off the ground, it's running down and it's touching the ground. That is a huge problem. See, and you can see my tomatoes, little guys right here. It's okay to take this off, which I'm going to. Here's my main stem right here. Sorry guys, I know there's a lot of foliage here, but and of course this is what happens when you don't. when you say you're going to main stem and you don't, and you end up with a Y like that, I'm going to take care of that too. But I want this just to be a main stem all the way to the ground, so that way I don't have anything in this soil that's going to affect my plant. All these leaves you see that are in the frame here that's kind of annoying to you, I'm sure. I only got 2 hands, guys, sorry. I'm taking them off, and you should too. It's not my opinion. That is something that's fact. You're going to hear a lot of gardeners tell you that. It's not just a way I do things. That is something you need to do. And if you do it, trust me, it'll save you a lot of heartache, because once you get blight from the soil, it's really something that you're not going to get rid of it. So good luck with that. So anyway, that's what I was talking about, guys. And I'll go all the way up from the ground to this main stem, take everything off you see in view right here up to those tomatoes. That's coming off. What else? Oh yeah, in the background you see all those there. They're all coming off. It's not going to hurt my tomato plant at all. But that's what you need to do. And that's what I got to do to all of these. So it's going to take me quite a bit. And not only do I got to do that, but over here, which is kind of awesome, I got to pick some of them up. But I pulled up my, oh my gosh, there's an onion that I forgot was in here. This whole area here where all my corn and all my okra is, and my cucumbers down there on the trellises, all that used to be my onions, but I pulled them when it started getting hot, and I forgot that I had a couple extra down here, so there's another one. So I'll pull that up. So down here, I'm about to clean this all up, and I'm about to plant some more zucchini and squash. So I'm going to utilize every inch of this bed year-round to make the most of what I have. I hope this video was helpful, guys. If you have any questions, something that you feel like I didn't cover, that you've experienced, you know, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. Until then, have a great day.